All right, let's jump right into a big question for anyone serious about security. How do you get a camera to see really, and I mean really far? We're talking 100 meters. Think about that. That's basically the length of a football field. So, is that even possible with today's tech? Let's find out.
So, here's the core challenge. Let's just put it right out there. Can a security camera actually give you useful, clear video from 100 meters away? I mean, that sounds like a massive distance, right? And, for most cameras you've probably come across, it absolutely is. And to really put that into perspective, just look at the difference here. Your standard home camera, the one you might pick up for your front door, that's going to top out at maybe 10, 30 meters max, which is fine for seeing who's ringing the bell, but for a big property or a business perimeter, no way. When we're talking about hitting a 100-meter target, we're not just talking about a slightly better camera. We're in a completely different league of technology.
Okay, so we're not going to make you wait for it. Let's get right to the short answer, and then we'll dive into exactly how it all works.
So here it is. The answer is a big, fat yes. You absolutely can cover 100 meters. But, and this is the really important part, your average off-the-shelf camera just isn't going to cut it. You need specific, professional-grade cameras that are literally designed for this kind of long-distance job.
All right, so let's get into the fun stuff. How in the world do these cameras actually pull this off? Well, it really boils down to two key pieces of tech that work together to conquer that distance, whether it's broad daylight or the middle of the night. First up, let's talk about night vision. This is where infrared, or IR, comes into play. See, these pro cameras use some seriously powerful IR LEDs. They basically flood the whole area with this light that we can't see, but the camera sensor can see it perfectly. And that is how a camera can see up to 100 meters away in complete pitch-black darkness. It's like it turns night into day, but only for the camera.
Now for daytime, the real magic is something called optical zoom. And let's be clear, this is not the digital zoom on your phone where you're just stretching out pixels and everything gets blurry. No, with optical zoom, the actual glass lens inside the camera physically moves to magnify the image. The binocular analogy is perfect. It's like having a super powerful pair of binoculars built right into the camera. It's what lets you see faces or read license plates clearly from way, way back.
Okay, so we've got the tech down, but what about the actual hardware? Which specific cameras from CP Plus are the specialists we're talking about, the ones built for this kind of long-range mission?
So for this kind of range, you're really looking at two main options. First, you have the bullet camera. Now this one gives you a fixed view, but it's packed with incredible 4K detail. It's perfect if you need to watch one specific spot, like a gate or a long fence line. Then you've got the PTZ, which stands for pan-tilt-zoom. This is the one that can actively look around, pan left and right, tilt up and down, and zoom in. It gives you amazing flexibility for scanning a huge area. And the great thing is, both of these can hit that 100-meter IR range we're aiming for.
And when we talk about those PTZ cameras, this is the number you really want to pay attention to. 25x. That's 25 times optical zoom. That incredible power is how you go from seeing a tiny little dot at 100 meters to being able to tell exactly what that person is doing. It's the key to getting real, usable clarity from that far away.
And just to kind of blow your mind for a second, while we're focused on 100 meters, the tech doesn't just stop there. Some of these really high-end PTZ models can actually push their infrared vision out to a staggering 300 meters. So yeah, hitting a 100-meter target, it's totally doable with the right professional gear.
All right, so the technology is obviously super impressive, but what about the real-world stuff? Let's talk price, setup, and all the practical things you need to know to get a system like this actually up and running.
Look, planning for a setup like this doesn't have to be complicated. You can really break it down into 4 simple steps. First, pick your weapon, the fixed bullet or the flexible PTZ. Second, figure out your connection. A wired connection is always going to be your best bet, but a good wireless bridge can work too. Third, how are you going to store the footage? A central DVR or a MicroSD card in the camera. And finally, step 4, you've got to set a realistic budget.
And speaking of budget, let's be real about the costs. Your standard home camera, that's a pretty low-cost buy. But for a professional, long-range solution like we're talking about, well, you're looking at an investment. It's going to start somewhere in that 10 to 20,000 rupee range, and it can go up from there depending on all the bells and whistles you need. This is professional-grade equipment, and it has a professional price tag to match.
Okay, let's wrap this all up with a quick checklist, your main takeaways. Number 1, yes, 100-meter coverage is totally possible, but you need pro-level cameras. Number 2, for night, you gotta have powerful IR.
For day, you absolutely need real optical zoom. Number 3, you've got a choice between a fixed bullet or a flexible PTZ. And finally, number 4, be ready to make a professional-level investment. Simple as that.
And that really brings us to the final, most important question. We've established that the tech is there. You can see 100 meters away, clearly, day or night. So the question really isn't, can you do it anymore? The real question is, what do you need to protect?